I'm out here at the infamous Gallery Furniture, and this is the beginning of my newest podcast featuring Mattress Mack. It's entitled The Life of Mattress Mack, from baby to bedding to blessing. And here's my first episode. So Mac, I just want to thank you first off for holding that beautiful vigil the other night. I know you know people who have been devastated, maybe lost a child in the hill country flooding on the 4th of July. How did that all come to be?
Well, you know, I attend a church there right across from Dyken Park at Annunciation, and my pastor, Father Felix, really good guy, a very holy man, which I certainly am not. And so I asked him, could we have a prayer vigil and a mass for the pray for the people that died and all the families that were affected. He said, sure. So we did it, and it was great because, you know, we get so caught up in these other things. And one of the things he said during the homily was, you know, quite often when somebody loses a loved one, we say, all you can do is pray. And Father Felix said, what we should say is the best thing you can do is pray. So I thought that was very good.
That's beautiful. Well, I just wanted to share with you, I've been struggling. We know a family, a precious family, that lost a child. And on the 4th of July, we were in Montana, and I got a text from my son that this little girl, she's 9 years old, is gone. They can't find her. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Precious little girl, they thought she'd never be recovered. You know, the reports are just the devastation, the silt. It's just unbelievable. Well, yesterday I got word that they found this little girl. And the way it happened was purely miraculous. One of the recovery ladies was on a horse, and she heard, and they were 20 miles away from Camp Mystic. She heard another horse neighing, and she's like looking around. While she's looking for that other horse, she sees a statue pointing for her to look down. She looks down in all this wreckage and sees this little arm, waits for the recovery crew to come, and there was this precious little girl. Harris County Sheriff's bringing her home today. And so it's so sad, but the efforts of these recovery volunteers, it's just been miraculous. And so here's a little girl who was found, and she will at least have closure. Her family will get to say goodbye to her, and at some point this week. So I just wanted to share with that. That's their story. The story of this little girl will forever be in their hearts and minds, and for so many people who knew her. But I wanted to ask you, you have become such a worldwide figure. I thought for our first episode, I wanted to ask you about your childhood, because it's made you the man you are today. And I thought the first question was, do you have a memory, whether it's good or bad, like your most profound memory when you were a child, whether it's 2 or 4 or 9, that you think maybe got you to where you are today?
Well, I think that my grandfather on my mother's side, they lived in Florence, Alabama. In fact, my grandfather built the Catholic Church there, and so it was a little town called St. Florine, which was a suburb of Florence, Alabama, and he was like 6'4", a giant of a man, worked all the time, and I think I learned a work ethic from him, but probably the thing I remember the most was he was kind of old and gruff, and we'd come visit, you know, and me and several of my brothers and sisters, we were probably hellions running all around. That probably didn't make him real happy. And one night we were having dinner, they had Jell-O there. He says, pass me that shaky, shaky, boy. So it was hilarious.
How many siblings do you have?
6.
Wow. And where are you in the lineup? Where are you in the birth order?
I'm second. My brother George, unfortunately, is deceased, and all the rest of us are doing well.
And so you think it was Grandpa, and I know I'm a Gigi, so I know that the influence of grandparents can have on their grandkids.
Yeah, he had quite an influence on me as far as work ethic, because he worked really hard and was a good guy, and he gave back to the community, and I learned that from my father's side as well, but mainly from him.
That's what I was going to ask you next. You've got this incredible inclination to give back. I know something happens that's a tragedy, and your brain starts thinking, what can I do to help? Was that Grandpa? Was there anything that happened in your life maybe that made you say, you know what, I can be of service?
My father was a Protestant, and my mother converted him to Catholicism, and we went to church every week for the time I was 2 years old, the time I was 18, went to college, and those Catholic values really helped me. My father was the ultimate giver. He'd give when he didn't have to give, and I never forget one time we were playing a Little League Baseball League, and one of the parents said to my father, "You only sponsor the league because your boys aren't," and he said, "No, I sponsor because I'm trying to help all these boys." My father was a legendary giver. Never forget, he founded the first Catholic high school in East Dallas, and the first graduating class was 2 years ahead of me. There was a guy in there named Jim Rager who was a good football player. My father loved football, so he helped Jim Rager get a scholarship to Dartmouth College. And that's a big deal, Ivy League and all that. So Jim went out there the first semester and did well, then came home for Christmas break. And his parents didn't have the money to send him back to Dartmouth. So he's going to miss out on this Ivy League education and miss out on all these things. Had no way to get back up there. My father was scared to death of flying, so he put him in the car and drove him all the way up there. And Jim ended up retiring as a vice chairman of the Royal Bank of Canada, and he tells that story all the time. That's who my father was.
That's amazing. Your father sold me a bed.
Did he?
The day that you ran a marathon.
Is that
my
right?
husband and I, we came to Gallery Furniture in solidarity with you, and your dad was there and sold me the most beautiful king-size bed that now my daughter has.
The day I tried to run a marathon.
And you were here picking up the trash when you were done with the run. I remember
right.
that day.
That's right.
Were there moments of Mattress Mack being a scoundrel when you were a little kid?
Oh, yeah.
Or did you have a tendency to be more of a goody two-shoes?
I probably was more of a scoundrel than a goody two-shoes. We went to the local grocery store in the neighborhood where we lived, and back then they had those Coke bottles, and you could redeem them for 5 cents a piece. And so I took 2 out of the grocery store, went back in to redeem the money. My mother saw me, and I caught hell for that.
But see, look at where you are today.
That broke me that habit real quick.
Wait a minute, that was something going on in your mind,
Yeah.
right? You're going, if I do this, then I can make this, and there you go.
She wasn't going for that.
What about your teachers? How were you? Any teachers that you recollect that really made an impact?
Yeah,
on
I had
your
a teacher when I went to that Dominican high school, that Catholic high school. And there was a guy named Mr. Hines. He was a speech teacher, and so we all had to take speech class. And I was afraid to go up there and say, "My name's Jim McAvale, blah blah blah." I couldn't get those words out. But he nurtured and coached me for 2 years and taught me how to do speeches. Now I do speeches all over the country. So he had a lasting impact on my life, taught me how to be a public speaker, and people are amazed I can do all that. Well, it all goes back to him.
Well, what did he do that taught you how to overcome that fear? I'll bring kids up to the station, and I'll take the loudest one in the group and put them behind the microphone. Silence. They're petrified. So how did he get you to be the point where you're really comfortable in sharing your story and your message?
I think it was just, inch by inch thing. Say a word, say your name, the next time say a sentence, and say a couple of paragraphs. So that was type of thing. And then that encouraged me to go on and join Toastmasters after high school, and that was a big help too.
So during high school, did you ever do presentations? What was your favorite study, your favorite class, your side hustle that you did in addition to academics?
Oh, I was just sports. I played football and baseball. That was my side hustle. That's what we did all the time. And my brother and I had a great childhood, and we had some fast cars. We had a good time.
What about academics? How were you in your class?
I was pretty good.
I was
pretty good. I wasn't exceptional. I didn't work at it as hard as I probably should have, but I was. My high school education really was formative for my whole life, and I took Latin for 3 years, and that really helped.
Now that was offered as a class in your Catholic school, right?
Right. Latin killed the Romans, dead as dead can be. Latin killed the Romans, now it's killing me.
Now you know, that's right. Now for kids who are watching this, What advice, and they're struggling in school. They've got things that you didn't have, like iPads and video games and so many distractions. They're not having the time to study Latin because they're so lured by video games. What would you say to kids today? Think back at your own childhood, like the best advice you could give.
Best advice I could give is
to kids living in today's world with social media.
First of all, I'd turn that stuff off as much as possible because it's so disruptive, and I would find a class you really like, or 2 or 3 classes, and try to excel in them. Try to be the best you can be at whatever you're doing, and if you do that, then you're going to have a big time future. If not, you're going to struggle. So I think getting a great education is important, and finding something you like is important. Find something you like to do, and it may not lead to college. Maybe it'll lead to a job as a welder, as a plumber, as an electrician, as a construction guy, as a furniture salesman. Find something you like to do, and learn a lot about that craft.
And then one other question. You had a great support system. Your siblings, your mom, your dad, you've got grandparents who loved you and supported you. Some kids don't have that. And I know you know some kids who don't have that situation. And we've spoken
Bryson. Yeah,
we've spoken about it. How would you talk to those kids who didn't have the kind of upbringing that you had, that they can still be a success?
Just get them a mentor. That's what they need, is a mentor more than anything else. And they need somebody to help them along the way. Come around here.
There's my guy.
Say hello to Miss Dana.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, sweetie. How are you doing?
Oh, I have you one of our
Tell them what you learned here from me.
Work is life's greatest therapy, and if you want to do anything in life, you have to get up, go to work, and make something out of your life. And that's what I'm trying to do.
And how are you doing that? First of all, how old are you, honey?
I'm 12.
Okay. And how did you meet Mattress Mack?
I walked in here one day, and I like to talk a lot, so we started talking.
And so you just walked in, and Mac's sitting at the front desk like he always is. What was the first thing you said to him?
Hi, how are you? I think it was a while ago.
And do you remember how did he get you to engage? Did he say, "Look, kid, I'm too busy. Go on home"?
He responded back, and he asked me my name. And then we started talking.
And so
how old were you then? 8?
8.5.
Wow. So you just come in, you hang out. Summertimes you're here working with Mac?
Yes, ma'am.
And learning. And what's the greatest? I'm asking Mattress Mack about his childhood, and he seemed to have a pretty good childhood. And some kids don't have all the wonderful mentors that he did, grandpa, mom, and dad. But yet you can still be a success. What have you learned from Mattress Mack?
I have learned that
by watching him, and talking to him.
The customers are like the most important thing, and the best thing you can ever do in life is find a job you love to do. You'll never have to work a day in your life.
Amen.
That's excellent. And what do you want to do when you grow up?
I want to own my own furniture store.
You gonna put me out? Are you gonna put me out of business?
I might. Maybe.
That's
he said he's gonna put me out of business.
That is excellent. And that would be a good thing. You know what? That would be a good thing. That is excellent. I'm so glad Mac brought you into our story. I'm doing a podcast with Mac about his life and how he is such a blessing to Houston. And how would you tell Houston, what would you say about Mac if I were to say, is this guy a blessing to our city?
Just going back, and I love being on the internet and all the research I have done, and just looking at Mr. Mack, he's amazing for Houston. During Hurricane Harvey, he was the only person in Houston that opened up the doors to his furniture store and let everyone in here, no charge, no anything, free food and everything. And I think we need more people like him everywhere, and all over the world.
You could be like him.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that's what your goal is. Well, you two, thank you so much for joining me on our first episode as we dig deep into Mattress Mack's life and find out what makes this guy tick. Because without you, Houston would not be the city that it is. So, Mac, thank you so much. And next episode, you are free to join us at any time with any new discoveries that you've learned. But I'd like to dig a little deeper into your life and find out about your sports obsession. Could we say it's an obsession?
I would say so, yeah.
It's an obsession. Thank you, Mac, and thank you so much, love.
Thanks, Dan.